At first, it looks like a small piece of abandoned America. Empty booths, faded counters, and a drive-through menu that seems to have stopped in 1994. On Adak Island, far out in Alaska's Aleutian chain, an old McDonald's still holds the visual clues of its final years, including early 1990s promotions and prices frozen on the board. But the restaurant is not the real mystery. The real question is why a place this remote ever had enough people to need one at all. Adak lies roughly 1,200 miles west-southwest of Anchorage, with the Bering Sea to the north and the Pacific Ocean to the south. Wind, rain, low cloud, and long supply lines define the island. Today, the small civilian community lives among roads, housing tracts, industrial facilities, and an airfield designed for a population far larger than the one that remains. The abandoned restaurant is simply the easiest relic to recognize. To understand it, the story has to move back to 1942. After Japanese forces attacked Dutch Harbor and occupied Attu and Kiska, the United States urgently needed a forward base farther west in the Aleutians. Adak was about 250 miles from Kiska, close enough to change the range problem for American fighters and bombers. But there was no ready-made airfield waiting on the island. Army engineers arrived with a strange collection of barges, tugs, construction equipment, and steel landing mat. The most useful flat ground was a sand-covered tidal area in the lower Sweeper Creek Valley. Instead of searching for a perfect site, the engineers changed the landscape. Bulldozers pushed up temporary dikes to block the tide. Sweeper Creek was diverted through a gap in the dunes toward Kaluk Bay. Rocks were removed from the future runway by hand. Water still threatened the field from both rain and tide, so the first airstrip was a constant contest between aircraft operations and drainage. The speed was extraordinary. On September 10, 1942, a B-18 bomber landed on the newly prepared surface. That same evening, crews began laying a strip of pure steel landing mat roughly 3,000 feet long and 100 feet wide across the softer southern end. They completed it in about 55 hours. Fighters and heavier bombers followed, and on September 14th, aircraft from Adak struck Japanese positions at Kiska. In less than 2 weeks, a tidal flat at the edge of the North Pacific had become an operational forward airfield. That runway was only the beginning. Roads, docks, fuel storage, hardstands, barracks, warehouses, and support facilities spread across the island. Adak became one of the crucial American stepping stones of the Aleutian campaign. After the war, the military did not simply walk away. The island took on a new role. During the Cold War, Adak developed into a major naval facility supporting anti-submarine patrols, communications, and surveillance in the North Pacific. The base was not just an airfield with barracks. It became a complete community. At its peak, roughly 6,000 naval personnel and family members were supported here. The developed area included port facilities, administration, industry, recreation, residential neighborhoods, schools, utilities, and commercial services. That scale changed the meaning of isolation. A family transferred to Adak was still living on a storm-beaten island, but daily life could include school, sports, shopping, bowling, a movie, medical care, and familiar national brands. By 1986, even McDonald's had opened on the island. Its existence was not a novelty detached from the base. It was evidence that the military community had become large and stable enough to sustain a recognizable version of ordinary American life thousands of miles from the Continental Highway system. The menu that survives today matters because it records the end of that ordinary life. A dino-sized fries promotion belongs to the Jurassic Park era. Bobby's World material points to the same early 1990s moment. The old prices attract attention, but they are not the important part. The important part is that the board remained while the customer base around it was disappearing. In 1994, severe military cutbacks hit Adak. Family housing and schools were closed as dependents were withdrawn. The McDonald's also closed that year. The timing does not need a dramatic conspiracy or a story about one failed restaurant. The larger system that had created its market was being dismantled. In July 1995, the former Naval Air Facility entered the base realignment and closure process. The military mission at Adak officially ended on March 31, 1997. A place built for thousands suddenly had far more housing, roads, utility capacity, and commercial space than its remaining civilian population could use. The Cold War had not destroyed Adak. It had done something more unusual. It had left behind the physical scale of a strategic city after the strategy changed. Adak did not become an empty island. A civilian community remained, and the old airfield continued in use. In 2004, a major land exchange transferred more than 47,000 acres of the northern part of the former base, including the downtown area and much of its infrastructure, to the Aleutian Corporation. The airfield passed to the state of Alaska for operation and maintenance. Homes were reused. Businesses continued. But many buildings and systems were simply too large for a community whose population was now measured in the low hundreds rather than the thousands. That mismatch is visible everywhere. Empty cul-de-sacs sit beside occupied homes. Utility networks designed for a base-sized population still cross the landscape. Some prefabricated buildings have been damaged by decades of Aleutian wind. Environmental cleanup and monitoring continue because military activity also left fuel contamination, landfills, and areas affected by old munitions. Adak's inheritance is not a single ruin. It is an entire layer of infrastructure that must be maintained, repurposed, restricted, cleaned, or allowed to decay. And that brings the story back to the restaurant. The abandoned McDonald's is compelling because it compresses all of this history into one familiar room. The booths, the menu board, and the early 1990s promotional material make the past feel unusually close. Yet the building only makes sense when the camera pulls back, first to the empty neighborhood, then to the airfield, the port, the former military districts, and finally the island itself. A fast food menu survived because the community around it changed faster than the objects inside. What looks like a frozen commercial curiosity is really evidence of a much larger transformation. World War II engineering created a strategic foothold. The Cold War expanded it into a complete town-sized military system. And the end of that mission left Adak with more infrastructure than its new life could absorb. The most revealing artifact on the island may be the most ordinary one. Not because a hamburger once cost less, but because a menu board still marks the moment when a remote military world stopped being ordinary and began becoming history.